It is hard to believe, but the football season is already upon us. Wednesday night at the Sky Dome, the Tiger Cats and the Argos kick off the '89 campaign right here on CBC. Now, Ron Lancaster, who's been a CFL star, coach, and commentator, will join me in the studio in a few moments. But first, he ranges far and wide to deliver this update on the 1989 Canadian Football League, a sports entity in transition.
The Grey Cup, symbol of supremacy for the Canadian Football League. Here at the Hall of Fame in Hamilton, it waits for some team to claim it for this 1989 season. But in the past few years, the focus of the CFL seems to have shifted off the playing field. To go along with the carousel of roster changes, just since last year, the CFL has had a leadership change, team ownership changes, and the change that continues over financial matters. All changes designed to have a stronger, stable league. Change. It's the buzzword for the CFL in 1989. Last year's Grey Cup game provided a thrilling end to the 1988 CFL season. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers won their second national championship in 5 years with their upset of the heavily favored BC Lions. Just 9-9 during the regular season, the Bombers played their best football when it counted most. The Toronto Argonauts couldn't change the outcome of the Grey Cup game, and they were still feeling the sting of not making the final when a new owner emerged to lead the ball club into the 90s.
Puck at the blue line. The Blues will bring it out this time. Bernie Federer.
As the owner of the St. Louis Blues, Harry Ornest's name was known in North American sports circles. Now he turned his attention and his finances towards football, continuing a personal pursuit.
At this stage of my life, again, I can indulge myself. Owning the Toronto Argonaut football team, as maudlin and corny as it sounds, is an exciting chapter in my life. I'm enjoying living in Toronto. I know we're going to be successful. I know the league's going to be successful.
There were major changes at the league level as well. In came Roy McMurtry, former cabinet minister, to take over as chairman of the CFL in a two-pronged leadership setup. McMurtry was recently in the spotlight as the attorney for Sprint coach Charlie Francis at the Dublin Inquiry. Bill Baker, my former teammate with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is the other half of the top of the CFL hierarchy. Baker, who also starred with the BC Lions, worked some magic as the general manager of the Roughriders, ending a long dry spell of not making the playoffs. At the annual Coach of the Year dinner to begin '89, Mike Riley of Winnipeg was the popular choice as the CFL's top man. But Riley shocked the Bombers when he announced his decision to head south to Stanford University and the glitter of Pac-8 football. Midwinter did deliver some heartwarming news for the Winnipeggers. Their city was awarded the 1991 Grey Cup game, giving the staunch Manitoba fans reason for cheer. When Hamilton last won the Grey Cup game in 1987, Harold Ballard was signing the Ticats paychecks. Putting a good team on the field hasn't been a problem. Getting the fans in the stand has. But the city rallied to come up with new ownership. David Braley is concerned with keeping tradition alive.
I love football. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are important to Hamilton. And I made the decision in late January and early February that the CFL was not going to have a problem because of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And the tradition of this franchise was just too important to this city, this community, and to the CFL in Canada.
Mike Riley came back saying he couldn't get the picture of himself as Winnipeg coach out of his mind. A job many feel fits him perfectly. Damon Allen came back too. First from injury, which stopped him last year in Edmonton, then to a starting quarterback job, this time with the Ottawa Roughriders. Their offense looked familiar as Allen was reunited with Steve Goldman, Eskimo offensive coordinator, now head coach of the Riders.
It was a situation that, I had to move on, and a change of pace would held me in, plus the offense here. And I know the offense, so I didn't have to go into another system and learn a whole new offense.
Financial security came a little closer to the CFL in the form of an exclusive sponsorship in a new television rights deal. The link between the league and Carling O'Keefe Breweries came in a $15 million package, ending rumors about NFL infringement. On the West Coast, the Lions went about the business of reorganization. They opened up the club to the prospect of private ownership, attracting a number of bids. When the Dome at BC Place first opened, fans flocked there, supporting the Lions in record numbers. Lately, times have been tough. The crowd has dwindled and the team has had to spend most of its energy staying afloat. Ownership transition is the main priority.
We'd like to get over it as quickly as possible for the sake of the football team and the staff. You know, you always like to know who your boss is going to be, and the sooner the better. That's why we've kind of kept it low key, is because we'd rather have the football players concentrate on football than the finances of the football team.
3 years ago in Toronto, groundbreaking began for the other Dome Stadium. It wasn't long before an artist's conception turned into a reality on the Toronto Lakeshore, stealing the limelight from the CN Tower. Even as construction workers rushed to meet the Dome opening deadline, the focal point of the great facility was always in the forefront. It was time to play ball. We all hear a lot about the Sky Dome. Every event scheduled here for the first time is treated like an inauguration. On Wednesday night, when the Hamilton Tiger Cats meet the Toronto Argonauts in the first regularly scheduled game of the 1989 season here at the Sky Dome, it'll be more than just the start of another football season. The changes I've spoken of must translate to success right down here on this field and on 7 other fields across Canada. And the two teams that put it together the best, play 60 minutes of football game in, game out, will meet in the last game of the 1989 season here at the Sky Dome for the Grey Cup. And it all starts for real Wednesday night.
Bigger than life. What a great way to kick off the 1989 campaign. Joining me now, Ron, in the studio. And for the first time in a long time, we've seen some promising changes. And I guess the first change is what we just saw, the Sky Dome, a magnificent building, from what I understand. You think about it.
Well, I love it. I mean, quarterbacks always like to play indoors where they're sure of the weather. And, you know, when you played at CNE, you never knew what was going to happen, the wind, the rain, and so on. But when you can play quarterback in an indoor stadium where it's great seats for the fans, everybody has to get out to see it sometime. Why not start Wednesday? And
hopefully, if it's nice weather, the roof will be open. I believe that's what the Argos are going to go to. There's one big thing that has to happen during this offseason. That's the BC Lions situation.
That's right. Well, as you say, we finally have some very positive things happening in the league. I think Bill Baker's done a tremendous job in that way. But the thing that everybody's waiting on is the sale of the BC Lions. It will happen, and when it happens, it's going to make the league even stronger. That's going to be a big plus.
There was an off-season sale of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. David Braley from Harold Ballard. So far, he's done a great job of marketing.
Done a fantastic job. He himself has taken on the job of the marketing of the club, and that's where they've been very weak for the last 10 years. I think he's done a tremendous job, and I think the Argonauts need to take some lessons from him, because I think he's done maybe the best job in the league.
Preseason ticket sales, at least the fans string out some exhibition games, pretty good overall.
Very good. Right through the league. The attendance for preseason games is a lot better than it has been any other time. I think the league is very close. I think the competition amongst the teams, there's a lot of parity now. No one's going in as a clear-cut favorite. A couple of key teams to focus on, certainly Edmonton and BC, the Dunnigan deal finally taking effect. Yeah, it's going to take effect this year because of the fact that with Dunnigan and BC, the Eskimos waited until this year to get their players. They're all defensive players, and I think basically they feel that with Tracy Ham only in his second year, the offense will be slow to come around. They want the defense to keep them in the ballgames until the offense gels, and I think that's the key out there. Who's going to be the better team between Edmonton and BC now with such a big change? Well, I'm always a believer that defense is going to win for you, and I hate to go against the Lions because, you know, they won it last year, but I think the Eskimos right now are the best team in the West. Calgary, you know, halfway through the season, we're going to say, boy, they've been injury-riddled, and it started back in training camp. They now have Danny Barrett, a gain from the Argos, but that they're hurting their quarterback in the situation. Yeah, where they couldn't afford to get hurt. You know, Kramer gets injured first, and then they get the Terrence Jones in from Tulane, the big signing, so to speak, in the league. He gets injured. Danny Barrett has to come in and try to play football on short notice. Very difficult for any quarterback to do. So the injuries are already taking effect on some clubs. Enjoy the season. You and Don and Scott, it should be a great year at CBC. Oh, we certainly will. We hope everybody else does too. Okay. Thank you very much, Ron. The CFL season off and running Wednesday night with the Hamilton Tiger Cats visiting Toronto. You can see it on CBC.